Hello,
Hello.
everybody. How's it going? My name is Micah,
My name's Jordan.
and you're listening to the Macaw Podcast Universe. It's the only podcast ever in existence that covers franchises, and we go through each one and we talk about how they're related to each other and all of that fun
Blah,
stuff.
blah, blah.
And today, I think from my limited knowledge of doing a little Googling and watching videos and whatnot, I think we might have the most controversial opinion that we've ever had on this podcast about a movie.
Even more controversial than like a Marvel opinion we had.
Well, because here's the thing. So I think our most controversial before this is probably Avengers, the first Avengers movie, because both you and I were like, it's kind of boring. It doesn't really hold up, which is, but there's plenty of people who don't really like Marvel,
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe Winter Soldier, we were kind of like, I still really like that movie, but you were pretty lackluster. A lot of people don't like Thor, The Dark World, so we were okay there. And then there was Ant-Man, which is a big turd of a movie.
Yeah.
But, you can find a lot of people like that. What you may struggle to find are people that think that Shrek Forever After is a really good movie.
Yeah.
But if you're listening to this podcast, the controversial opinion you're going to hear is two people talking about how much this is a really good movie.
Yep.
Because, I looked at like critically and audience-wise, it's like slightly higher than Shrek the Third, which we agreed
Did you
is a
read
bad
Roger
movie.
Ebert's review?
I didn't read his review. Would
curious.
he have been around in 2010 still?
I think he died in 2012.
Okay, so he might have.
See how many stars he gave it.
But I think this movie really works. But let's see what Roger Ebert has to say.
I'd say the only way, the only thing that knocks this movie down, which we've talked about in the previous episode, is the Forever After. It should have been a forever.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
That's it. Oh no, he didn't review it. Maybe he was not. Let's see what Peter Travers said.
Okay,
He's like number 2.
yeah. Although I hardly ever agree with him, unless he's just excited
3.5.
about a movie. Oh, that's
Surprising.
decent.
Yeah.
Does he have any good poll quotes?
Oh no, I don't.
Okay.
I don't actually really ever read his. I just see it as
Yeah.
reading.
Yeah, but I think the thing you were talking about that really plays into this movie is people. I think they saw Shrek the Third, and everyone was like, "That was a bad movie." And then when they said we're coming out with a new movie,
Everyone just rolled their eyes and
so
like,
you went into it, and with our podcast, this is our promise to you people. And you've heard it before if you've listened. We try to take every movie on. Even if we didn't like the movie before, we're trying to see like if we maybe like it now. Or I always try to see the good in the movie. And I actually went into this and I was like, I'm going to try and see the good, but there's no way I'm going to like this movie. It's going to suck.
I didn't really have any feelings before seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
Until I saw the cover of the movie and saw what Rumpelstiltskin looked like.
Yeah.
And that got me excited for the movie.
Uh-huh.
Because, we'll get into that more specifically, but he's the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
The tagline to this movie is, "It ain't ogre till it's ogre."
Pretty good tagline.
Into it.
So, yeah, let me just hit it up here. So we got Shrek Forever After. It's directed by Mike Mitchell, who also directed Lego Movie 2 and Trolls. Produced by Gina Shea.
What? Where's Lego Movie? Like, what production company is that?
Warner Brothers.
Okay.
Yeah. Gina Shea produced. She did Trolls, SpongeBob SquarePants movie, Jimmy Neutron movie.
Whoa.
Teresa Chung, who did Madagascar. This is written by Josh Klausner, who also wrote a movie called Date Night.
Okay.
And Darren Lemke, who wrote Shazam, Turbo, and Goosebumps.
Turbo is the dog.
You're thinking of Bolt?
Oh. Was
Turbo
the snail?
is the snail with Ryan Reynolds' snail. snail that can't go fast enough or something, or goes too fast. Is it a snail that's too fast, or
Don't even know if I've seen a trailer for it.
it's like a racing snail?
Okay.
And then once again, we got music by Harry Gregson Williams. I very much enjoyed the score. I thought the score was really good.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was amazing.
The scores to most of these I think the Shrek the Third was the only one where the score wasn't on top.
This score, I think, was the most effective in this movie because the movie feels so emotional and heavy, and a big reason is like I'd say half of it's the animation, the other half's the music, and I'm not including the sound, like the soundtrack.
Yeah.
The Shrek movie, you always got to have soundtrack music.
Yeah, that's part of the
fun.
Oh, I'm thinking of a different word, but I can't find it. It's part of like the checklist. I don't know. I don't have it. But the kind of the pull quote thing I have for this movie is it's almost as if someone listened to, like, it's almost as if the writers and the director listened to our episode on Shrek the Third and they said, okay, let's fix all those things.
Yeah.
Because they fixed everything I had issues with in the previous movie. But we'll get into those specifics later. I'm jumping the gun. Yeah. I'm actually pretty excited to talk about this one. It's produced by DreamWorks, distributed by Paramount. Comes out May 21st, 2010. Domestically, the movie makes $238,736,787. Worldwide, $752,600,080.
Okay.
Now, the whole movie is about like the forever after kind of stuff of fairy tales.
Yeah.
But they did have another title for this movie.
What?
And it's better.
What?
Shrek Goes Forth, and it's Fourth. Shrek Goes Forth.
I like the other one better.
You like the original?
I mean, they should have put a 4
Forever After.
Forever After. I think that one's better.
Okay.
Sorry to disagree.
Bill Damaschke. Don't know how to pronounce his name, but he was the head of creative production at DreamWorks Animation. Quote, all that was loved about Shrek in the first film is brought to the final film.
Thank you. What's his first name?
Bill.
Thank you, Bill. Sincerely.
I think he's actually right. Because I took these notes before we watched the movie, and I was like, that's going to be a funny one to hit when we like watch the movie and really hate it.
Oh, yeah.
And then now I read it, and I'm like, yeah, he's right.
Yeah.
It is all we love about Shrek. So in February 2014, Katzenberg, who was one of the producers and writers, I believe, claims that a new entry will likely happen. And then in June 5th, so this is all this I'm talking about Shrek 5.
Yeah.
Like a possible sequel, which this movie ends pretty definite to me. But then
Forever After.
Well, maybe I should do those at the end of the podcast.
Sure.
Yeah, because we haven't even talked about the movie.
Sure.
Do you have actors?
Yep. Let me get it.
I know that you sometimes don't repeat the main actors, but I am curious where our main three are at.
I didn't do that.
Okay, hit yours. Let me pull them up because I'm pretty curious about.
It's kind of a miracle I did this part today. So you have John Hamm.
Yeah.
Who plays an ogre.
Who's one of our faves.
Yes, one of my favorite people in Hollywood. I will say, though, I think that he was the knockoff David Puddy from Seinfeld. I forget that actor's name. Don't you know his name? You don't?
No, I don't know his name.
Most people probably know who I'm talking about because the whole time, because it doesn't really sound like John Hamm at all. He's hamming it up. And it sounds like he's trying to be that guy, and it's like it kind of just made me wish it was that guy. Still love John Hamm though. But nothing against him.
I see what you're saying though.
Yeah. So for John Hamm's career, he was in a lot of TV and chick flicks in the beginning.
Sorry, I'm just gonna jump in on that is weird though because I'm sure that he costs more than the guy who plays Putty. So that's kind of weird.
I don't know. He might not have been at the time that this movie came out.
This would have been like height of Mad Men.
Yeah. That's just one show though.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
And before even Mad Men, just a ton of TV, some chick flicks that like no one remembers. Mad Men starts in 2007, carries on until 2015. In 2000, because listen to the movies that he's in between. In 2008, he's in The Day the Earth Stood Still, which I don't remember him I mean,
Oh, that's
I just knew it was
Keanu
Keanu
Reeves,
and
right?
Jennifer Connelly. That's all I remember in that movie.
Never saw it.
Not great.
Yeah.
And then he's in this movie called Howl in 2010 that sounded pretty interesting. It's about this writer who the description was terrible. One of the worst IMDb premise descriptions where it doesn't actually tell you what's going on.
Yeah.
Because it's like this writer discovering himself as an artist during the trial. And I'm like, so sounds like a pretty big thing in history that happened. And you're just
Wait, it takes place in the past?
Yeah. Well, yeah, this is it seems like a little bit of a biopic, this movie.
Okay.
And it's like so the movie's told in 3 separate storylines, kind of like the trial, the artist's life, or probably working on the work that is on trial, and then like an animated part of the film. Sounds cool.
That sounds cool.
James Franco's in it. I think he's the main character. Sounds really cool. That's why I'm talking about it still after mentioning the title.
Yeah.
But I'm also just really confused about what it's about.
Yeah.
And then also in 2010, because that's when Shrek Forever After came out. It's a big year for him. So he's in Howl, Shrek 4, A-Team, The Town, Donkey's Christmas Shrektacular.
Wow, he made the Shrektacular cut.
He did. So that's John Hamm. And then you have Walt Dorn, who plays Rumpelstiltskin. And he is a true through and through voice actor.
Very cool.
Yeah, he was in Shrek 3 for a ton of roles.
Really?
Just a ton. And then I was scrolling through his thing to write down stuff, and really he just seems like a DreamWorks guy. Like DreamWorks just has him on
cool.
retainer.
He's just one of
he's
the
in
guys.
Trolls. That's DreamWorks, right?
I think so,
And
yeah.
Madagascar's DreamWorks.
Yeah.
He's just in
Is he in the Kung Fu Panda movies that we have? So they're on all of these DVDs we've gotten from the library. There is
You go to the library today?
promo. No, they were closed, but I'm going tomorrow. There was a promo where it has Jack Black cooking food, and he's doing this kung fu stuff.
Well, he's cooking Chinese food.
Yeah, and it's all the same. It's every single time it's the same promo, but every movie, it's the exact same promo. But it's like the first on Shrek 1, he was promoting Kung Fu Panda. Then he was promoting Kung Fu Panda 2. Then Kung Fu Panda 3.
They just changed the title.
They just changed the title. It was very weird, and I think 2 of them were Kung Fu Panda 2. Or 2 of them were Kung Fu Panda 1.
No, 2 of them were Kung Fu Panda 2.
Shrek didn't have one. Shrek 2 had one. So Shrek 2 was 1. Shrek 3 was 2. Shrek 4 was 3.
Because there was a Madagascar one with Ben Stiller.
That was in Shrek 1, I think.
Okay. That one was so bad.
That was very bad. Where Ben Stiller's sitting there and he's like...
He couldn't get out there fast enough.
The main character is me, and I am trying to escape with my friends. I
play a lion.
Do you know what a lion is?
Yeah, it was
And
bad.
there's just like crates behind him that say Madagascar.
Yeah. Going back to Walt Dorn, though. So yeah, he is a DreamWorks boy. He is just so wonderful. I just love... We'll get into it more.
Yeah.
But Walt Dorn, he gets the prize.
Dorn.
That's how I...
Or Dorm? Or...
Dorn with an N.
Okay.
I don't know if that's really how you pronounce
Walt Dorn.
And then Jane Lynch is in it.
Who was she? Was she a witch?
I think so. Can you double check her name in it?
Yeah, I will check.
So Jane Lynch, for those of you who don't know, most of you will probably know, she's
Gretchen. I'm assuming that's a witch, yeah.
She plays the mom in Sleepover. Huge movie from my preteen years. That also has Evan Peters in it, and the girl from Spy Kids. Did you hear what I just said?
No, I was trying to figure out
Evan
that
Peters
thing.
is in it.
Evan Peters.
From like American Horror Story, X-Men, American Animals.
Oh, okay.
Great actor.
Yeah, he's very good.
He is a goof in that movie. Whatever. You're not interested. So then
No,
she's in The Fugitive in 1993. She's just been in a ton of stuff forever. So she's in The Fugitive. She's Best in Show. She's in Best in Show. She's just in a ton of TV, and I've noticed that she's usually casted as a nurse or a doctor.
Really?
And I think it's because she just seems like a doctor.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
It's a lot of the credits were Dr. So-and-so, Dr. So-and-so. She's also in Seventh Heaven. Just wanted to make a note of that. 2005, she's in 40-Year-Old Virgin. 2006, Talladega Nights.
In that movie.
2007, Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story.
Oh,
and then she's in Glee from, in 2009.
Oh, yeah.
And then Craig Robinson.
Wait, so Wait, see, the reason I didn't seem like I was showing interest was I was looking at something. I didn't know what movie you said. What was the name of that?
Sleepover.
Oh, and is that
Steve Carell's in it too?
That's a movie you like a lot?
Yeah.
Okay, that's like that's
talked to you
that,
about it several times.
Okay, that's
we're moving on. And then Craig Robinson is in it. He's the guy. Remember, I called it.
Yeah,
it's him.
He's Cookie in this movie.
Yeah, I just wrote The Office and Hot Tub Time Machine.
Yeah,
and then just note like honorable mentions. I didn't really look up their career. Kathy Griffin, who's a comedian, she plays a witch,
which you called like halfway through the movie.
Yeah. And then you have Kristen Schaal, who's in Flight of the Conchords, Bob's Burgers.
Oh yeah,
wonderful voice actress.
She's more of a voice actress than a in-person actress.
She's in that show though with Will Forte. I don't know if that's still going on.
Last Man on Earth.
Yeah. From the little that I've seen, it's pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ryan Seacrest is in it as father of Butterpants. I don't remember that at all.
Oh, Butterpants is the kid that's like, do the roar.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Now it's cool. Okay, that's it.
Okay, so let's just see. So Mike Myers, he did Love Guru, Inglourious Bastards, and then Shrek Forever After.
Whoa.
So his career is kind of not there, I would say. I think he's now in his bad time.
He's not.
Pretty much when he did Love Guru, people were like not into this guy anymore.
I also feel like, though, he doesn't really need to work anymore.
Yeah, I mean, he's fine. He's got his thing. Let's see what Cameron was up to. Let's see. Before this, she was in The Box. They got like a box to...
I've seen it.
Something. The box where like if they killed someone, they get $1 million or something.
Something like that.
And then she's
the guy who wrote it is the Rich Matheson guy from Twilight Zone.
Oh, okay. Yes.
He wrote that.
Then in the same year as Shrek Forever After, she came out with Night and Day.
Okay. Paul Dano's in that movie.
He is?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So
Crazy.
is Tom Cruise.
And then, well, yeah, of course. I already knew Tom was in it.
Paul Dano's like their sidekick.
Oh, interesting.
I'm going to double check.
So now, yeah, it's just interesting because Mike Myers and Eddie Murphy are kind of like... People still know them as like hilarious from back then, but Shrek is kind of their only popular thing that they've been in for the past like decade.
Yeah.
Because Eddie Murphy's in this movie called, he's in Meet Dave, which is famously horrible. He's in Imagine That.
I don't know what Meet Dave is. Can I see
it's
the
like
cover?
There's a little guy that lives inside of him. A crew of miniature aliens operate a spaceship that has a human form. Here's the picture. And the tagline in it has Eddie Murphy's face, and there's Eddie Murphy.
Show me the picture.
Well, I gotta explain it to the audience. Eddie Murphy's face, and then Eddie Murphy is sticking out of his own ear, and it says Eddie Murphy in Eddie Murphy.
That's pretty good.
Meet Dave.
That's probably someone had an idea for a movie. They thought of the tagline before they thought of the movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then he's in Imagine That, and then Shrek Forever After. Tower Heist, 1,000 Words. He just hasn't been able to like do it again. It would be nice to see him have something huge, But
I know.
Some people just get past their prime and they can't connect with audiences anymore.
True.
And I think Mike Myers will probably have something big at some point again, but
I feel like he's mostly going to stay in like the Bohemian Rhapsody role, Inglourious Bastards role.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
I don't think he can carry a movie.
Yeah.
Anymore.
It would just
which is fine.
It'd just be so funny if he could do like an SNL type movie that like really worked again. Well, I mean,
I guess that's not impossible.
They are making another Austin Powers, so.
Well, there you have it.
But it'd be cool if there was an original thing.
Forgot he was Austin Powers.
Yeah, I mean, he's done some pretty iconic comedic roles. Mm-hmm. And is he Wayne or is he's Wayne from the titular Wayne's World.
Wonderful movie.
Very wonderful. And speaking of wonderful movies, let's talk about Shrek Forever After.
Okay.
So this movie starts with a storybook intro, and it's narrated by Rumpelstiltskin, and he's talking about the original conquest of Fiona. Is that right?
Yep.
And remember, last week we discussed how it was really annoying that Shrek 3 didn't start with the storybook, like the book opening up. So I hypothesize to you, you can delete Shrek 3 from the franchise and all of them have the uniformity of the storybook intro. And then we cut to... Oh, go ahead.
So have you noticed, too, that whoever narrates the storybook intro, and I know Shrek does the first one with what I'm about to say, they're kind of like the bad guy.
Well, here's the thing that just popped into my head that makes me feel like a genius. In any normal story, fairy tale, Shrek would have been the villain in Shrek 1.
Yeah.
So it's
That's
like
why he's
who
narrating.
you think is the villain, then villain.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt so proud of myself there. So then the beginning of the movie, we see Rumpelstiltskin, and he's in his like chambers, and he's got this cool little goose that's hanging out with him.
The big ass goose. Okay. Sorry, that just came out. Okay, we'll hold it together. Okay. But
it's not even big yet. Remember, it starts.
But it starts pretty big. It's bigger than a goose. Unless Rumpelstiltskin's the size of a goose, but it's got teeth.
Yeah.
That's freaking awesome.
It has teeth.
I love the goose. I love Rumpelstiltskin.
So he's hanging out with his goose, and Fiona's parents walk in, and they sit down with him, and he's like, "Okay, so are you ready to make the deal? Like, if you sign this contract, it'll break your daughter's curse, and she'll be set free from her curse and from the castle." So we know that now it's before all the Shrek movies.
Yes.
And then, well, actually, during the first Shrek movie. And then as they're about to sign, and he's like, he's getting really excited because it signs away
Their kingdom.
their kingdom. And then they, like a guard breaks in or something like that, and he says, your daughter's been saved, they're headed back to the kingdom or whatever, something along those lines. And then he's like, dang it. Mm-hmm. Like, I was about to get the kingdom. Mm-hmm. So right away, you set up his motive.
And right away, he is introduced as such a strong character. Right off the bat, he is the most interesting looking character out of all of them the entire time of the series.
Of the humans, you mean?
Yeah, and I know that he's like a fairy tale folklore creature, but he's still like technically human, right? Mm-hmm. So like...
Well, I think in the fairy tale, he was described as like an impish, like small
They nail
thing.
it. They nail it. There's a lot to work with because of that. But... he has human features. So we're going to go with that for a second. But, like my biggest problem with the animation are all of the humans just look off because they're trying to make them look...
Valley.
Yeah, because they're trying to make them look so human. And it's like with Rumpelstiltskin, because of the nature of the character being impish and stuff, they just like really went after it. And he is so cool looking.
He is very cool.
And then the animation's a lot better too. Sorry. Just because it's a newer movie from all the other ones? What were you going to say?
Well, they do that funny bit throughout the movie where he changes wigs.
Yeah.
Which also like change how he looks. So he's like, get my happy wig or get my mad wig or something like that. And that's all funny stuff.
Yeah. And then the whole time, like Walt Doran's performance for voice acting is just so interesting because even when he's not talking, he's making these weird little noises.
Yeah.
And it's like really brings the character and the story alive. And it makes him so interesting. And he's purely just a bad person. You don't really relate to him at all.
Yeah, they don't try and do the thing where they try to pretend that he's good or anything like that. Like he's just kind of a bad freaky dude the whole movie, which is fun.
It's kind of like a Pennywise factor for me. I can't stop looking at him.
That's actually a pretty good...
I want more.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're not talking about horror, but that's my comparison with that.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, so then his plan is thwarted, and then it kind of, brings you up to speed with what's going on with Shrek and Fiona and their 3 kids, and they're like, this is so wonderful. Can't every day be like this? When every day literally is just taking care of their children, cleaning them, feeding them, making sure they don't die, and it's just this repetitive cycle.
Yeah, and it does that montage where it starts and it's like, a kid burps and Fiona goes, better out than in, I always say. And then he goes, hey, that's my line. And then he tries to, take a mud bath. And then she's like, Shrek, I need your help. And then it cuts and it does it all over again. And he's progressively getting more and more tired, and the cuts are faster.
Yeah.
So right away you see he's unsatisfied with his life right now. And he's wishing he was single again.
And it's not even that, because it's all selfish.
Yeah.
His motives are selfish. But it's not even it's not that he doesn't love his family.
Yeah,
it's that this dissatisfaction is
he's
like his
the glory
selfishness.
days.
The selfishness is just taking over.
Yeah.
And he's letting it, So yeah. So their kids are having their first birthday party. So they go to Far, Far Away. And it's basically, they're kind of like at a Chuck E. Cheese. And there's just kids screaming everywhere. Shrek's just trying to hold it all together, get everything fine. There's this dad that keeps pestering him to get him to roar for his kid.
Yeah, which I love. I love the comedy of that scene, because it's like, hey, excuse me, Mr. Shrek. I know you get asked this a lot, but
oh wait, hold on, sorry.
Can you ask about the roar? Go
ahead. Just to leave after that. On the way into town and stuff, it's just shown that ogres are basically beloved now.
Yeah, and there's like that Hollywood wagon that comes by, and it's like, and over here, Shrek
right.
and the ogres live here.
It's just kind of become a caricature thing. Continue.
Yeah, and he's wishing for the days when he was feared. He liked being feared
and alone.
Even though we know throughout the series he actually didn't like those things, but now he's much like in real life. You look back at something and you're like, man, I really wish it was like that again.
And then sometimes people make it that way. And they're like, why would I ever want this again?
Yeah, I liked how things naturally became.
Yeah. So continue with what you were saying.
So the dad, it's just very funny because they definitely set it up like in that celebrity mode where he's trying to politely ask, and then Shrek's like, no, I'm not going to do the roar, and he goes and does something else, and then the dad keeps coming up and he's going, I believe you promised my son a roar, and all the while it's this really chubby, very tall,
little German looking kid.
Yeah, child with like a lollipop, and he's going, do the roar. And that's how he speaks. Pretty dang funny.
Yeah.
And then as the party's going on, like the cake gets ruined and all his fairy tale friends are being a little too crazy, and then Shrek just like roars really loud, and then everyone just cheers.
Instead of being scared from having witnessed it. And so then Shrek leaves, he goes outside for a breath of fresh air, and it's kind of like in the alleyway of this Chuck E. Cheese, and Rumpelstiltskin's like in the trash, like looking for food.
Yeah.
But he like kind of hides back and is like kind of looking, like listening, because then Fiona comes out.
Now we see that he does have a big ass goose now.
Does it even ever explain why?
Well, it's just, I think the goose just keeps growing because before it wasn't as big, and then now we're jumping like years later.
But like,
and
why
it's
is
big.
it getting big?
They don't say, which I kind of think is even more interesting.
Yeah.
And toward the end of the movie, he's even bigger.
Yeah, I wonder if it's just like a fairy tale thing.
Yeah, there must be some is Mother Goose or something? Something?
I don't know.
Is that a thing?
I'll look it up later if I feel like it. Kind of don't feel like it though, because it's so great.
Yeah.
So Fiona comes out and is like, "What do you think you're doing? Like, you need to control yourself." And Shrek's just, through his anger and selfishness, is just like, this isn't what I really wanted, which isn't true. But like, this isn't what I wanted. Like, I want it to be back how it was, just like quiet. And she's trying to, help him understand, like, your life, like our life is so beautiful now because of our children, because of these people who love us. And he's like, he says something to the effect of like, that's exactly what I want to get rid of.
Yeah.
And she storms back inside, and it's sad.
Yeah.
And then Rump tells it, like,
I kept on writing his name. I wanted to write his name in here.
Yeah.
But I had no idea how to spell it, so I just started saying R. So it's like R and Shrek meet. R is jittery and fun, strange. Those are all my notes. Nice. I just wrote R.
So yeah, so he gets to talking to Shrek, and he's like, isn't he like, I can make a deal with you?
Yeah.
Like, I can give you what you want.
Yeah, he basically says, he pretends that he's incapacitated and needs the ogre's help.
That's right, yeah.
And then Shrek helps him, and he's like, oh, I'm so scared of you. You're an ogre. He's clearly acting. And then Shrek likes that feeling. And
he's like, for helping me, let me help you.
let me like drive you to where you need to go. And then he basically says, okay, you give me, I will
The
give you.
goose is pulling the carriage, by the way. It's that big.
Yeah, which is very cool.
I just have a little bow on it the whole time too.
I think it does.
I love it.
I love the goose too. It's Fifi the goose. And so while they're in the carriage, Rumpelstiltskin, he says, hey, if I'll give you 24 hours to be like it was.
And he's just like, pick any day you want from your past, and that'll be the day that you live. He's like, and that's because it's important, because Shrek was like, oh, I'll just pick a day from my childhood that I don't even remember. I was so young.
Well, I actually hadn't said that yet.
Oh.
He says he'll give him the 24 hours to be an ogre in return for any day that he chooses. So Shrek will give him a day in return for this day.
And I think what Shrek was just like, I don't care what day you choose.
Yeah.
And for those who might not be familiar with Rumpelstiltskin, because I was not.
Yeah, I've
never
either.
heard the story. The whole thing is he makes a deal with you, and you like sign a contract with him, but there's always subtext. Mm-hmm. So he always is the one on top.
Yes, it's like the monkey paw thing.
That's right. Yeah, we're talking about that.
So then, right when that happens, Shrek like floats out of once he signs the deal, gives away his 24 hours in return for 24 hours to be the ogre. His world like melts away, and it's this cool kind of dreamy animation, and he floats down, which is a good transition to say that the animation in this movie is the first time. I know the old Shrek 1 and Shrek 2 was very limited, but there's like shadows in this movie. Everything's much more detailed, and the colors change, and throughout the movie it's like each location looks different. I mean, that was our big problem with Shrek 3, was it didn't at all looked the same.
And I would say when Shrek, so most of the movie takes place in this day that he has wished for. Most of the time that looks gold. Like it's always perpetually sunset until it becomes nighttime.
Yeah, and like a brown.
Like a gold and a brown, which are very interesting color choices, because to me it made me feel a little bit like this is wrong. Uh-huh. And this is like not right.
Yeah.
When like in the reality, before, at the beginning of the movie and at the end of the movie, it was pretty normal. Mm-hmm. Just like bright, sunny.
Yeah.
But this was just like an obvious choice of mood setting. Yeah. And it was like like you're saying, they finally, like, I think because of technology and better experience, they finally figured out how to use like lighting and the weather to convey mood.
Yeah, because this just looks so much better.
Yeah. So he's being an ogre. He's being the ogre he wants to be again. He's scaring people. He's eating anything he wants. He's taking mud baths.
It's doing the Carpenter song. I'm on the top of the world, looking down on creation, which is a great drop. I love the use of that song, because he's like scaring people and eating stuff and being crazy while that song is playing.
Yeah.
Pretty dang funny. Yeah. That's right up there with Hey Now You're an All-Star as far as the Shrek universe is pronounced concerned.
So what is the thing that gets him to realize something's wrong?
Well, he is attacked
by witches.
And
he goes back to a swamp. And It's not a swamp, it's like it's dry and barren.
That's right.
And I think he's like Fiona, and he like is his swamp, the like tree trunk thing that was his home,
is like all dried
is not a home.
Yeah. And
he like breaks through, and he's trying to find her, and of course she's not there. Uh-huh. And it's starting to feel wrong to him. And I really, like you were saying, the change of landscape. Not only is the swamp different, but like it's just very flat, dry, and empty.
Yeah.
And it's
but in a pretty way.
Yeah, but also an indication of what he has now is nothing.
Right. And then witches come and attack him, and we find out that witches like defeat ogres.
Yeah.
You know, they kind of like hunt him. And what's cool, so another improvement, another praise for this movie is like, in the first movie, you're introduced to all these characters and like fun spins on old fairy tales. In the second movie, they play on that even more, and they add a bunch of like Prince Charming and the Fairy Godmother, which are like really standout characters. In the third movie, all they add is like what could have like what would have been the move for that movie, since they have like Arthur and
Merlin.
Yeah, and Lancelot in it.
Yeah.
Would have been to do like fun spoofs of like the Knights of the Round Table and those old stories, but they don't really commit to that. So they're just kind of weak, boring characters that aren't interesting. But each movie, it's fun to add new cool stuff. So this next movie, Forever After, not only has Rumpelstiltskin, but it also has witches. So you have like a whole new like classical fairy tale creature running around. So it gives it an even more fun feel.
And they're like the Wizard of Oz witch. The Wicked Witch.
Yeah, where
like
they can melt in water.
Well, they're green.
Yeah.
And
That
I like that, like, their weapons are jack-o'-lanterns that are like bombs.
Yeah.
And then those little skeleton things that like come and like grab onto you. I just think it's a creative use of weaponry. And they fly on brooms and stuff. So they get Shrek. He like passes out because they throw a bomb at him. And he wakes up and they're transporting him like in a crate to somewhere he doesn't know. But he notices that Donkey is the one.
Well, he's hearing a song.
Yeah.
Sung by an old Eddie Murphy, and it's Donkey. And he is running the prison carriage, but they don't know each other.
Yeah.
And Shrek keeps being like, okay, Donkey, like, help me find Fiona.
And he's confused why they wouldn't know each other.
Mm-hmm.
Which I love that about stories that are kind of like this, where it's like, I wish that I don't exist or something like that. And it's like, oh, it's you. Yeah?
Yeah,
So
who
what?
are you? You're a freaky ogre.
That stuff works for me.
Yeah, no, that's always kind of fun.
So he's taken to the castle, to far, far away.
Mm-hmm, but it's all dried up.
It's all dried up. Everyone's basically poor. And then he gets to the castle and it's like a rave. Is that the right word? I just
they are having like a rave party.
There's like a rave going on. So you just see that the lower class and the upper class, there's a huge divide.
Oh, I didn't even pick up on that. But yeah, you're totally right.
Yeah, so he's taken to Rumpelstiltskin.
And right when he comes in, it cuts to Pinocchio, and he's about to sign a contract, and he's like, "So this will make me a real boy?" And he's like, "Yes, it will." And then Shrek comes in, all tied up, and then he's like, "Oh, forget about that," and knocks over the ink, and Pinocchio's like, "Oh,
yeah, it's pretty funny."
And then this is when Shrek and Rumpelstiltskin talk, and he's like, "Where's Fiona? What's going on?" And
this is when Shrek realizes that the day that Rumpelstiltskin took from him was the day he was born.
Mm-hmm.
So he needs to figure out, Shrek needs to figure out how to break this contract.
Yeah.
Within 24 hours, or else by the time the day is up, he will no longer exist.
Yeah.
Because in the contract, like, in exchange for Shrek's stay, Rumpelstiltskin becomes king.
Yeah.
He worked that in there. So you very clear, like, this is the motivation.
Right.
This isn't just like he can just wait 24 hours and it's over and he can wake up and be fine.
Yeah.
His life's on the line.
And it's the classic, he's got to get true love's kiss.
Well, he doesn't learn that for a little bit.
Oh, he doesn't?
Well, so he gets Donkey to help him break out, even though it's kind of against Donkey's will.
Yeah, and they get on a broom, and it's like surfing music. And
I like what the cool thing about Donkey's animation at this part is his skin. His fur is really matted.
And it's like tufts of it, like sticking out in certain spots, which is
like
cool.
Mangy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they break out of the kingdom, and
they're like fighting witches in the air, and it's actually like some pretty fun action sequences that are pretty cool.
It's kind of it's cool. I like it. I think the goose is bigger in the scene.
Yeah, Goose keeps growing,
and then
they brush it. The pigs are brushing his teeth too. Remember that?
I think that's a little later.
Oh well, either way.
So Shrek and Donkey break out, and then there's just kind of a period of Shrek convincing Donkey that this stuff is all like not really real, which is an interesting conversation. And I think he's just trying to get Donkey to help him.
Yeah, and what's cool is that oh yes, okay. I was trying to remember. I saw this. I just wrote Donkey Origami, which was confusing. But he has the contract, and Donkey like folds it a certain way, and he goes, "You always got to read the fine print," and it's folded a certain way, and it says something, and then Shrek moves it around, and if that's when he finds out he has to get true love's kiss.
And he's like, okay, I got to find Fiona.
Yeah, and the fun thing about them spinning this movie where like Shrek and Donkey don't know each other is you get to revisit the fun of the first movie of their relationship without taking anything back.
And what's interesting is now Shrek clinging to Donkey. When in the first movie, it was Donkey clinging to Shrek.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Like, it was like Donkey needed Shrek. I mean, Shrek also needed Donkey in the first one. But now it's flipped where, like, Shrek can't do this without Donkey. And Donkey also needs him because Donkey's a prisoner, basically. So then Shrek goes to the castle that Fiona has been kept locked in. Because he's like, oh, I got to find her. If she's, like, not with me and hasn't kissed me, then she's still in the castle. And he goes there and she's not there.
She's not there.
And then I don't exactly remember what happens in between.
Well, then him and Donkey tries to smell the scent of Fiona, and it leads him to Waffles.
Yeah.
And they fall down a pit, and in that pit, it's a whole population of ogres.
Yeah.
And these are all pretty fun.
They all look different. They made it creative.
Yeah, that's the thing about animation is like. You have the opportunity to make exaggerated features, which is, I think, this will date this episode a little bit when we recorded it, but like that's what a lot of people's problem with the new Lion King movie is. It's like, so you made animated like creatures that look like real creatures.
You made
What's
Planet
the
Earth.
point?
Yeah.
Like, what is the point of that? So when you're in this and you're seeing all these ogres and they're different sizes and they're like ugly and all this cool, it's cool. And that's the stuff we didn't like in like the previous movies is when they tried not to make them look exaggerated.
Yes.
Because that's the fun of animation.
Yes.
And you can't, even in Pixar, they still like exaggerate the adults and the adults. I'm just thinking of Toy Story, but they still exaggerate features because that's fun.
Yeah. I mean, children are watching it. They don't want to just watch like people.
Yeah.
They want to watch like really crazy things.
So I just had to put in a shot at Lion King.
Nice. Good for you.
And then we find out that that ogres can plug their noses, like plug one nose and make a trumpet sound.
Plug one nose.
Plug one nostril. You remember that?
I thought they were doing this.
Oh yeah, it's like out their ears or something.
Yeah.
And John Hamm does it, and Shrek goes, "I didn't know we could do that."
Yeah.
That was just kind of funny. That was just such a weird thing that happened. I didn't know what to do but laugh.
Yeah, I think in a way it's just to symbolize like because Shrek grew up alone, basically being the only of his kind, and that just symbolizes like there is a unity and a community among ogres. Oh yeah, that's just my guess.
No, that's good.
And then so you find out so like ogres are hiding out because they are like exiled from society. They're hunted because they're monsters.
Well, and Rumpelstiltskin is making sure he kills Shrek.
And Rumpelstiltskin. And so then you find out that Fiona is the one leading the revolution.
Yeah.
Because they're like the revolution to take him down. Unless they do something with Fiona, this is what they should have done with the third movie was give her a leading, strong lead. So weird way that I just said that. Like they gave her something important to do.
Yeah, she actually has something that like moves the plot along.
Yes.
And she's actually interesting.
Yes.
And fun.
Yes.
Whereas the third movie, she's just there to be pregnant, basically.
Yep. So then Shrek's like, "Oh, it's Fiona, it's you. Like, I need to kiss you," and she, of course, doesn't know who he is.
He knocks him out or something like that.
Yeah, and so Shrek's trying to figure it all out. Also, kind of learning a bit about his culture, and then we meet Puss.
Well, yeah, you're right. I have the in between that. There's the witch melt of water. Remember, we cut to Rumpelstiltskin, and he's like, "We got to do this big raid tonight." And he's like, any ideas for how to get these ogres? And the witches are doing ideas. And I don't remember what she says, but one of the witches says an idea, and he takes a glass of water and throws it on her, and she melts. And then after she melts, he's like, actually, that was a good idea. Because the other two ideas were very stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah,
He's
Jordan
so cool.
told me to make sure I took a note of that. And then you're not saying anything.
I forgot. That's why you took a note.
Yeah. So the ogres plan to stop the witch hunt as well. And then that's when Shrek finds Puss.
And he's fat.
He's very fat.
And he's just Fiona's pet. That's pretty much the only purpose he serves. Like in this reality.
Uh-huh. His animation is so good.
Oh, I know.
He looks great.
They make him interesting too, like that when he's like falling down, like sliding down the scratching post. It's like that's interesting.
Yeah.
And funny.
And it is funny. I don't know. This probably gets into like controversial stuff, but I gotta say, all the fat stuff is pretty funny to me.
The fat jokes?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're hilarious.
And he is a cat, so I mean, I think it's okay. But so
sorry, I'm getting tired.
Then I'm getting tired too. Don't think you reserve the right to be tired.
Okay, so let's speed this forward instead of talking about every single scene. So Shrek, oh man, my voice is, I feel like I'm getting sick or something. Shrek communicates to Puss, like, what needs to happen.
Kiss.
He needs to He needs to kiss Fiona. She won't let him kiss her because he's a stranger to her. And why would she let him kiss her?
Yeah.
And then Puss basically, his advice is try to just like be like, talk to her, relate to her, get her to fall for you.
Yeah. Like you can't just grab her. You got to make her fall for you. You got to like believe in the cause and stuff.
Yeah. So he works his way to do that. And she's falling for him. It all happens very fast, but I think instead of, that's not a complaint. It's like they are true loves. Mm-hmm. So it's not crazy that they have that one fight scene, like a mock, little scrimmage fight scene. And she's like confused because she has a connection with this guy that just showed up.
Right.
And it's like, well, there's a reason for it.
Right.
And then all the while they're planning because they know that Rumpelstiltskin and the witches are going to come looking for them.
Yeah.
So they're going to plan to stop them.
Yes. And we find out that Rumpelstiltskin has hired Pied Piper to bounty hunt, which is also a fun like fairy tale twist.
Yeah, which that's another character that I didn't know anything about until like 6 months ago. And I listened to a podcast about it. So it because I know it was funnier. Yeah. Because if I hadn't have known about it, I would have just been like, okay, I'll look this up after the movie.
Yeah.
Who this person is.
And then, so the ogres attack this carriage, and then Pied Piper comes out, and he's able to like trick all the ogres into dancing to disco music for a while. By playing
his flute.
Yeah, by playing his flute. Meanwhile, Shrek's again trying to get a first kiss, and they're off alone because she was trying to, they're just doing that. They're trying. Oh yeah, they're doing that.
Well, they start dancing. So they can't kiss. They were about to kiss.
Oh and yeah, they start dancing. Yes, that's right.
So yada yada yada.
And then they escape, and with Puss and Donkey help them get out, and then Rumpelstiltskin says, "I have the deal of a lifetime," which means you get anything and everything if you capture Shrek. So Shrek goes, okay, because Fiona has now been captured. I don't remember how. Oh yeah, they're just able to rescue Shrek. That's all.
Yeah, but it's also like, well, that's not. They do get away, both of them.
They do?
Yeah, because all of the ogres were captured and they're now prisoners to Rumpelstiltskin. And then Fiona, Donkey, and Puss are like, so Fiona and Shrek are arguing.
Yes.
Because, all he cares about is kissing her, which you can't blame him. That's all he needs to do to break the curse.
Yeah.
And then she doesn't know anything about that. And he's trying to tell her, like, we have children, we have a family together. And it's like, you can't just say that.
And he like tells her stuff that only
he only tells her that she would know. So, but also now it's like all of her people have been captured. So she doesn't care about that anymore. Yeah. But he won't let her leave. And she's like, fine, I'll kiss you. And they kiss and nothing happens.
Yeah, that's right. And that's when Shrek then turns himself in, and he says,
"Well, Fiona does eventually get captured. She like goes.
Oh, that's right.
To the kingdom. Yeah. So then go ahead.
Then Shrek turns himself in, and he goes, "Hey, you can have me, but my deal is I want the deal of the lifetime, and what I want is I want Fiona. I mean, I want the ogres to be set free." And he goes, okay. So the ogres
like, really? That's all you're wishing for?
Yeah, all the ogres are set free, and then he sees Fiona, and he's like, why isn't she set free? And he goes, well, she's half human. That's why. And that's when you're like, oh, so she hasn't been an ogre this whole time.
And you realize, oh, this movie's been taking place, this part of the movie has been taking
all
place.
At night.
All at night. Sunset and at night.
Yeah. So that's
Love
cool.
it.
Love
Yeah.
that. And then...
So the ogres are out, and they're like, well, we need to go back in and save them. Because Shrek and Fiona are in a dungeon together, and they can't get out.
Yeah.
And Rumpelstiltskin's like, well, I know how I'm gonna finish you guys once and for all. And he sets a dragon loose on them, but not just any dragon, Donkey's dragon.
Yeah. And
But they're not together in this reality.
Right.
But Shrek is like, that's your wife. Distract her.
Yeah.
That's a very funny moment.
Mm-hmm. And then they escape, right?
Well, they incapacitate the dragon and get out.
Oh yeah, because they like tie a bow, referencing something earlier.
And by then, I think all the ogres are in. So now they're all fighting the witches.
Yeah, big fight at the end. It's
Goose
good
is even
birthday.
bigger.
Yeah,
at this point,
we
teeth
love
are
Fifi
just
the
huge.
Goose. And then basically it comes down to it. Fiona kisses him. You know, she
hold on a second.
Oh, am I skipping?
I know, but it's just like it's a beautiful moment.
Okay,
So-
you hit it then.
The witches are all taken care of by the ogres. It's clear that they won. But they've won the kingdom. That's great, but that's not really like what we're going for as the viewer. Not our motive. Like, so like Shrek is still like he's still just gonna like not exist though. What's gonna happen? So he's there and he starts disappearing little by little, and Fiona's holding on to him, and I don't remember exactly, but it's like you've been, you did this for us.
Yeah.
And she, you can tell it's like, this
Jordan
is love.
and I are crying at this.
No, we weren't crying.
We weren't.
But it's like, because he acted selflessly for his people, but also for his wife, like it like opened her eyes to like, she does love him, because prior to that, she didn't love him because she didn't know who he was.
Right.
So right before he's about to disappear, she kisses him.
Yeah.
And then one of the other coolest animation moments in the movie is when everything starts to fall away, and it's that gold bubbly background again.
Yeah.
And Rumpelstiltskin's like basically kicking and screaming like a child, and it's so great.
Yeah.
And it goes back to as if Shrek is waking up in the middle of the birthday party, like, what's going on?
Yeah. And didn't Stiltskin, like, he gets eaten by the dragon, or no? Because he's gone for some reason. I don't remember how he dies. I think he dies.
What happened?
I don't remember. But that's okay, though.
Oh, we gotta look it up.
But then they're back to the birthday party, and then I wrote Fifi blows up. Oh, yeah, she sings, doesn't she? And Fifi blows up?
Okay, so Rumpelstiltskin was back at the swamp with them.
Yeah.
And he like watches them blow up the goose, which is pretty messed up.
That part is like a total blur to me. I can't quite figure that out. But anyway, then it shows.
Oh wait.
Oh, go ahead.
So before Shrek signed this contract with Rumpelstiltskin, he left. He has his daughter's little toy, and that stays with him throughout the movie. Even in this other reality, he takes it with him. This is like the totem.
Yeah.
Throughout the movie, and like right before he's about to disappear, and he's talking to Fiona. She's asking questions like, "So we really we're married?" And he's like, "Well, not only were we married, we had children together." And he like gives her the toy.
Yeah.
And he's
very
like,
sweet.
"We had a life together."
Yeah.
Or we have a life together. That was just so sweet. I love that. That was the gun in the closet. Was the kid's little toy?
Yeah.
The emotional gun in the closet. Really wish I knew what happened to Rumpelstiltskin.
Yeah.
We watched this several days ago, people.
Well, why don't you look it up while I finish up here? So then the movie just over the credits is like showing you scenes from all the other 3 movies, and it feels really complete to me. I think you would say the same, but you're very concentrated, so I shouldn't bother you. And so the fact is, now they have announced that they're making a 5th movie of Shrek, which is a little confusing to me because this feels very complete. So, are you looking up the ending?
I'm fast forwarding. Keep talking.
Okay, so On February 2014, Katzenberg claims a new entry will likely happen. Then in June 15th, 2016, NBC Universal purchases DreamWorks Animation for $3.8 billion, and CEO Steve Burke discusses bringing Shrek back. Then in 2016, Hollywood Reporter claims the fifth film is coming in 2019. Then September 2016, Eddie Murphy confirms script is done and movie will be out in 2019 or 2020. March 2017, Michael McCullers claims his script is a pretty big reinvention for the film series.
I can't even imagine what that's like.
I know. And then in November 6, 2018, Illumination founder Chris Mayadandri has been tasked to bring Shrek and Boots back. So that's what we have on that. But apparently Shrek 5 hasn't even begun production as of February.
Yeah.
So I think it's safe to assume that if it happens, it's going to be a pretty long time from now.
Okay, so probably not.
Yeah, but I mean, it is on like IMDb. It's on stuff, and it says like pre-production, but nothing is totally final on that. So, did you find out what happened to him?
I'm watching it because I can't remember the exact moment. Gooses died. Rumpelstiltskin. Oh, he's dancing because Pied Piper is... So Rumpelstiltskin's in a cage and Pied Piper is making him dance.
Oh, okay.
So he's just a prisoner. I'm glad they didn't kill him. Keep that guy around forever, please. I also forgot one of the other really funny moments in the movie when Rumpelstiltskin issues that decree, like, I'll give you guys anything if you want, if you bring me Shrek. Mm-hmm. The one person who finds Shrek is the gingerbread man.
Oh, yeah.
And Shrek learns a little bit of information from him, and as he's trying to learn more, Puss eats him.
Yeah, that's right.
It's so funny.
And it's very unexpected.
Yeah, it was a little shock factor.
Yeah. Anyway. So, tracking the arc. Jump in, because I need your help on this. Shrek 1, he learns how to take care of himself and, like, accept who he is. Right?
Yeah.
Shrek 2, he learns how to take care of Fiona, his family, and make the sacrifice for her. Shrek 3, he's selfish again, and he learns how to take care of himself and his family again. Yeah. But in a way that's similar to the other two. And then in this movie, he learns to enjoy and appreciate what his life has become. Mm-hmm. The only one that doesn't work for me is 3.
Ranking, it is...
Well, we can't rank yet, because we have one more movie, which is Puss in Boots, which we're doing next week. And then you got to strap on your cape, put on your helmet, and choose a side, because we're doing Captain America Civil War after that, and it's back to phase 3.
What a line. Were you practicing that?
I thought about it a little bit earlier.
Gosh.
But final thoughts on the movie.
Loved it.
I really thought it was good.
It's my favorite Shrek.
It's my number one Shrek for sure.
And that comes with like you won't have this movie without 1 or 2, unfortunately 3, but you really won't have this movie without those movies.
Yes.
But this one is the best one.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, you can argue, like the first one's the best because it's the first. But obviously, if you're listening to a podcast, like we are discussing entire franchises, so we are not going to be ranking the first movie as the best one in every franchise. Yeah, because we're analyzing the whole franchise. Mm-hmm. So as a whole, Shrek Forever After is the best one. Mm-hmm. So
that's so good.
Thank you for joining us on the Shrekoning. We're still in the Shrek universe, but we're going to have no Shrek next week. It's all Puss in Boots.
And if you were really on the fence about watching this movie and then you listen to this, go watch it now.
I think you should watch it because it really swings up from Shrek the Third.
We liked hearing what people thought about the movies.
And if you have a thought about it, put it in the reviews. Go to our review and do that and rate us, and also show somebody and subscribe. Show them how to subscribe. Maybe they don't know how.
You know at least a handful of people, listener, who have seen Shrek.
That means you, Olivia, and Rebecca. Although I think Rebecca's shown a lot of people, so we're good on that. You get a pass this week. All right, thanks for listening. Next week it's Puss in Boots.